Hi, I'm Budgie Scott. Welcome to Furnal Equinox 2018. I'm doing this video in 360 and also 3D at the same time on this pole. Yes, those are silicon ears. So yes, I do hear everything. Anyhow, welcome to the con and enjoy my video. Take care.
I only drink from the most regal and most celestial approved, what would you call it?
Aquafina bottles that you already drank half of in the room.
Am I sponsored by Aquafina now?
You are sponsored by Aquafina.
Good.
Here's your just... Okay, don't pass out on stage. How's that? That's what we mean to say.
I thought that was for the bar.
That's for later.
That is for later, indeed. This show is not sponsored by Aquafina.
No.
I will be sending them my invoice later.
Say, are you in show business? What are you doing on our stage?
I'm one of the helpers.
You're one of the helpers. Well, help her do things.
Help her? The helper will help her?
That's...
Oh, that was low even.
Okay, that's all you get for that amount in the pig, all right? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, wait. What is this pig? Did you already tell them?
I told some of them, but some of them just came in. This is a charity performance that we all are doing up here. We are doing this to raise money for Happily Ever Esther. I don't know why they call themselves that, but it's adorable, isn't it? These are people who lend their energies and much of their lives to give voice to those who have no voice of their own, to give hope to those who have no hope of their own. We do like people that unselfish. Caring for the animals they care for, which tend to be larger animals, requires funding, and that's why we're here. If you continue to feed the pig there, we will continue to entertain. You stop feeding the pig, we're just going to stop and stare at you.
They'll do it.
I tried it actually on the way here. It was pretty funny. There were a bunch of normal people on the elevator. And I just stood in front of the elevator and I was waiting, and I kept on waiting until the elevator went ding, ding.
Oh, incidentally,
It was going
if you are recording this, that's all well and good and great. Do not live stream it. We don't want people watching this who ain't here putting money into pig, if you understand this, okay? Now my horrible American accent isn't, like, confusing them, I hope.
Well, I mean, if the audience can understand him, can you understand him? No? Is he, okay, I think as a collective Canadian audience, for those of you that are Canadian, we must teach him the proper ways of how to communicate with Canadians. Let's start with the most simple one. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Yes, hey, buddy. That is how you address most Canadians in a very informal fashion. You're a man from Philly, are you not?
Yeah.
So in Philly they use the word yo.
Yo.
So the equivalent to yo in Canada is hey, buddy. And you always have to have it in that very low, monotonous tone, like you just finished chopping up like some logs and whatnot and building a cabin and whatnot. So you always have to go like, hey buddy, hey buddy. Hey, I just finished watching a game of hockey and eating a glass of poutine.
I just finished watching a game of hockey and eating a glass of poutine.
I'm sorry.
What? And eating a pool of poutine.
You ate a pool of poutine?
That's what he told me to say.
Gee, you are American.
Shall we tell them what I saw at the lovely American place? They had poutine on the menu. Curly fries with cheese whiz on them.
Oh. Sacrilege, complete sacrilege, I say. Which convention was that at again? I believe it was Wisconsin.
I have no idea.
It was Wisconsin.
Yes, it's Wisconsin. The cheese heads over there. That's where circles are from.
I see what you did. It's cheese whiz. It's Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
I see what you did.
By the way, folks are still coming in. Remember, this is a charity performance. There is a pig going around, a glass pig. That allows us to see what's going in.
Hey, do you see what the straw's doing to me? It's sort of like staring me down.
It's okay, we'll get some Viagra.
Are you sure this is not a tiger snake?
We can get cheap Canadian Viagra up here, don't worry.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't work, I'll just go see my doctor for free.
Shut up.
Oh,
Don't worry, Kage, we're working on it.
We're working on what? We're trying not to work on it. I mean, okay, this guy here is going to basically incite an entire revolution of people up here in Canada to bring all of those American ideologies up here. I say we should say more Canadian than that.
Sorry.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. We shall keep that at least, because otherwise we're going to become the 51st state.
Hold on. Wait.
What are you doing?
Wait. I have my notes.
Wait, we weren't supposed to script
Hang on.
anything.
I am not your buddy, you hoser.
Okay, which one of you was talking while I was gone? I can sniff it out. It was one of you. Yes, of course it was you in the green bandana. You definitely are one of those hoses, aren't you, guy? No?
Not your guy, friend.
I'm not your friend, buddy.
Not your buddy, guy.
Yes, if we keep on doing this, this will be the whole show, especially if that pig doesn't get fed. If the pig doesn't get fed, then we will just continuously do all these Canadian stereotypes over and over.
We could always do American stereotypes, but we have one in office right now, so. I can say that up here!
He can. That's the thing, is because if he says it up here, he won't get shot.
And you know what? You guys might not like Mr. Trudeau, but your premier never out and out lied to my president. He's got one up.
He's our prime minister, not premier.
What the hell? This is all we got? How much is this?
That's so far.
How much? Okay, how much are the
Stop
purple ones?
Okay, stop calculating in American. Calculate in Canadian.
Okay, you have to remember. What's the rating of this?
What do you mean the rating?
Okay.
Canadian? Oh, it's Canadian Tire money.
Why the hell not?
I mean, if the charity buys from Canadian Tire, why not?
Oh, I was told that we have to do this also in French.
Oh, wait, what? We have to buy French translations?
What?
Ontario gets a French exemption.
Yes, Ontario gets a French exemption because apparently everyone in Ontario only speaks English.
All right. You must feed the pig. Il faut que foutre le cochon.
Yes, what he said, yes.
Je parle Québécois.
Wait, did you just say you speak Quebec-ish?
Isn't that?
There is a Quebec-ish?
Yes.
I did not know. There is an English, a French, and then a Quebec-ish. There is that broken.
Okay, speaking of drunken gibberish, I have been...
Drunken gibberish?
Thank you. I have been to St. John's in Newfoundland. Is there anybody here from Newfoundland? Okay. Were they just doing that for my edification, or could I really not understand anybody?
It's a whole new language.
Okay, what is the rating of this? Because if I'm going to tell my story, I need to know.
Oh, the rating, you mean? The rating of this is, let's pretend that Mom was watching.
My mom or somebody else's mom?
I feel like this is a setup. Should I answer? I feel like I need legal aid for this. Except he's in Philadelphia and forgot to renew his passport, so he gets everyone to call me Kitty at this convention.
Well, I'm going to tell the story. There's going to be, I think, coarse language in this story. I'm not sure. I was visiting St. John's, and as it's a wonderful, picturesque, maritime little village there, I was down at the waterfront watching the fishing boats come in at the end of the day, like a tourist should. And people were coming up and they're like, Newfoundland. I'm like, okay, that's, ne parlez pas Klingon. And I was starting to think that I was never going to understand what anybody said until, I didn't realize that the fishing boats parallel park just like cars do in New York. And a guy came in just like a car does in New York. And he was coming in, I'm thinking, he's coming in pretty hot. And is he gonna slow down? I didn't even hear him reverse the engines. He came plowing in and just smashed into the stern of the fishing boat ahead and knocked it forward about 10 meters. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? It's huge crash. The master of the boat in the front came out and started saying, hey buddy, you fucking man, you're fucking to me, you're a fucking buddy, I got a fucking. I got that, I understood that.
Are you sure you were in St. John's? I think you were in Brooklyn at that point.
At that point, I don't think there was a difference.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, by the way, yes, I do apologize if we did mention earlier that there might be a little bit of coarse language. You see, he and I, we usually operate with not so much our logic in terms of being able to understand the atmosphere. We kind of just go without a filter. It's a little bit of a thing that us lushes tend to do. Is that not right?
Gonna mention again, we're still early in the show and people are still filtering in. This is a charity performance. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but we've got that pig going around. This is for a worthy cause. You are not required to donate, but if you don't, you're a dick, okay?
Well, then you're also going to make all of the animals at the Happily Ever Esther Farm Sanctuary very sad. Just think of all the sadness that you would see in those animals' eyes as they stare up at you and they place their paws gently against your front and they just stare into your soul and then... I'm sorry, I was working very hard on my marketing spiel.
What is the saddest, most soulful, mournful creature you currently have?
Gee, that's depressing.
They're thinking,
Face.
what?
Pouty face.
Pouty face. What exactly is pouty face?
Me on Monday.
Pouty face is a cow.
A cow.
Yeah. And he has a pouty face, so his name is Pouty Face.
His?
Yes.
Okay, in my country, a cow has a tendency to be a lady. I don't know about Canada, but is this a confused cow or?
In the sanctuary world, we don't kind of talk differently about.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I just assumed that poor cow's gender.
Oh, see, he's learning. He's actually apologizing. Oh, I'm
So,
proud.
you don't want Pouty Face to be sad. Pouty Face coming up and putting her little hooves on your
Well,
table.
here's what we can do.
Yes.
Don't we have this illustrious, well-known, talented artist?
Oh, my God, Monarch is down there. Don't get up.
Don't get up. Yes, because we want to keep you all small and
If I
stuff.
got up, it wouldn't make much difference anyway.
Oh, hush.
Yes, just don't stare up into the light bulb.
Monarch, is this not the most incredible artist?
She is most definitely the most tolerating one because she still puts up with us too.
No, I think she's a fantastic. Wouldn't it be really great to have like personalized artwork from Moth Monarch that you can like put on the back of a lab coat?
Oh, and not only that, but speaking of Pouty Face, I was thinking, well, maybe we can have like Pouty Face on this whiteboard if it's not already done. I can't see quite
It
from over
says
here.
feed the pig bank at the moment with Kage throwing various forms of currency.
Yes! Feed the pig. Somebody take a picture of that. Feed the pig.
You have various forms of currency? Are you money laundering in Canada?
Well, look, we got the blue ones, we got the green ones, we got the kind of off purple.
I've only got two colors.
Just make sure you wash your colors separately.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
thank you very
there's
much.
the purple one and the blues and then a goddamn shitload of coins. What's with you people?
Coins are dollars in Canada.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Most of those coins are $1 and $2.
He knows that he's doing it
I didn't know that. See, where I come from, coins are things that annoy you. You get them changed, and whoa. Oh, I mean, goodness.
That's like 3 cents American.
What the hell are they saying about this woman? It says Regina. I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
Yes, Regina. Yes.
Okay, and she's older on this. Okay. My theory is proven. Look at this. See? Look. See what she looks like on this coin?
Yes.
And see what she looks like on this coin?
Yes.
You notice she doesn't get any older in real life?
But she
In
doesn't-
50 years, there's going to be a desiccated skeleton on these coins. She's still going to be on the throne.
Well, should we tell them what we have observed about any Commonwealth country and her face on their currency?
We should. I'll
We
let
should.
you.
Oh, wait, well, what we had noticed after some extensive research on the subject matter was that the farther the currency is away from the motherland, the UK, the angrier she gets.
Oh my God, the Australian, she looks like a mass murderer on the Australian show.
It's basically her mugshot from that one night she went partying in Australia.
Yeah. It's like, okay, here we have Her Majesty in England, and here we have Her Majesty in Canada. It's like, yeah, whatever. In Australia, it's like, do not screw with me. I will go apeshit on you, trust me. I will put you to bed with Charles.
You know, I would not doubt it whatsoever if, you know, in England she's got her pair of pet corgis, but then she switches to, like, the native animal when she visits another country.
The were-corgis.
Yeah, the were-corgis. And then when she's in Canada, she has, like, a pair of beavers, and then in Australia...
She's got a... Well, what?
Oh,
Wait a minute. Say it again. What does she have?
this isn't being put on YouTube, is it?
What a biological amazement there.
I meant it in complete innocence. I swear on the Queen's life, which may be coming to kill mine. A pair of very flat-tailed animals native to Canada. And when she's in Australia, I wouldn't be surprised if
hockey
she had...
sticks?
What?
Hockey sticks.
Wait.
The flat-tailed animals native to Canada.
Wait. If you put a pair of goofy eyes on the hockey sticks, I guess
You get Wayne Gretzky.
I get Don't threaten me.
Why is Moth Monarch not drawing Queen Elizabeth with two beavers?
That's terrifying!
She's moving to this country. We don't want her to get deported on her first date. I mean, that's probably going to be on the entrance exam.
Jesus.
That's probably going to be on the entrance exam now. How many beavers does the Queen have?
No!
Oh, come on! Oh, a respectable person just came in.
Oh, yeah, respectable person. And they're very well dressed as well. Good on you, sir. After all, it is Furnal Equinox 2018 Live-In Large. But I would like to remind the audience once again that it is not only about Live-In Large, it is also about helping others live to the same standards that we hold ourselves to. And in this case, we are trying to help the animals at Happily Ever Esther Farm Sanctuary do so. So, like the old guy said, you put in stuff and we make things happen. We make more noises with our face. And hopefully not talk about queens and beavers.
I want to see how many beavers she has on this one.
Bah!
This is worthless crap.
She's going to send her beavers after you if you whip it.
There is a drop down for affinity for that, by the way.
No!
I don't know, maybe we shouldn't pursue this line of reasoning anymore.
Yeah, let's change the subject. I want to change the subject to...
She's your monarch, not mine.
Well, I mean, it's... Hey, come on. I am a Chinese dragon. At this point...
Never mind.
What?
Whoa.
Do not implicate me. They were talking about me. Holy shit.
No, we weren't!
Yes, we were. We were just simply referencing to the fact that will now be on the entrance exam. I mean, we are just giving you the answers at this point. Take it from...
I said I might make you afraid of me someday? That day is coming soon!
Quick, Kage, get a light bulb. Flash it in her face.
I would like to let it... Okay, how many people here are actual native-born Canadians? Wonderful.
We are very sorry.
Would you like to know the #1 source of America's some knowledge of Canada? Your average American learns about Canada from one source. Do you know what that is?
I know. I was going to say South Park. Well, they're smarter than I
South
thought.
Park is
Right,
passé.
I forgot. We have Canadian education.
There is a news source that Americans are turning to now.
That is...
A little movie called Yoga Hosers.
No, we are not talking about yoga hosers.
If you've not seen Yoga Hosers, you are not patriotic Canadians.
Did we talk about that last year as well? Like, I don't know. Didn't they make a sequel to Yoga Hosers?
Well, actually not yet. The prequel is something we don't want to talk about.
No, we talked about that last year. We are not... You cannot pay us enough to talk
Some
about it.
good folks just walked in. Hello, good folks. This is a charity show. There is going to be a gentleman coming to you and excoriating you for donations to put into the face of the pig he's carrying around.
Yes, stop the pig. That definitely isn't a drop down on fur affinity.
Actually, yes it is. What?
No, we are not thinking about that. Nor will we reference Nor will we reference that little clip that was in the new Wreck-It Ralph trailer as well.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, well, in that case, you have yet to learn, my child. But I was going to ask you as well, while we were changing the subject. This is now your third Furnal Equinox, is it not?
My second official Furnal Equinox. The
What do you
first
mean by
one.
official?
Well, the first one I wasn't actually here.
Are you saying you ghosted my con?
Oh no! I had a badge. It was a button that year, wasn't it?
Oh,
And my membership button said, "Totally not Uncle Kage."
So if you totally weren't Uncle Kage, who were you?
I dressed as a native. I got a nice black and red checked flannel shirt, one of those duck hunter hats, and I just kind of slumped around saying, "Oh, hey buddy, it's really great that we're all Canadian here in Canada, eh? I was just outside in the -2°C weather watching the curling and everything." And the funny part was, it actually worked. I was going around completely invisible.
You needed your breath spray.
What?
Your breath spray.
Oh, I had
yes,
that too.
yes.
Yes. Look and sound Canadian instantly. I was going, and I would occasionally go up and do that to people, and they would go, "Oh my God," and I said, "Shh, don't tell anybody." I realized that I had a #1 acting potential when I went up to Heather Bruton in the dealer's room, and Heather looked up at me with this long-suffering, patient expression, and I was like, "Oh, hey buddy, it's really good to see you here in Toronto, which is a big city in Ontario, which is part of Canada, eh?" And she's like, "Yeah, that it is." And I just kept at it for a good 5 minutes, and I thought, "Oh, she's as cool as a cucumber. She is not even gonna crack." So I kind of slumped away, and behind me I heard Sandy Schreiber say, "Don't you know who that was? That was Uncle Kage." And Heather said, "No, it wasn't." Goddamn, I'm good.
You forgot that morning we were at breakfast. This was when Effie was in the old hotel. And I saw, when I came down to breakfast, essentially what I would describe as a lump of plaid.
A lump of plaid.
Yes.
This is Canada in a
Sitting
nutshell,
with
a lump
Ronnie,
of
and I was like,
plaid.
"Oh, I know who that is."
That's Ronnie, yes.
I'm pretty sure it took you at least a good 10 seconds before you actually, realized in your brain. You were looking at the lump of plaid, and suddenly the lump of plaid to your face.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Okay, you want to know something that I find really, really amazing?
What's that?
I've been shifting this object around on the table for the past 20 minutes, and you have not yet asked me what it is.
What is it, I wonder?
Funny you should ask. I'm not going to tell you.
Well, I just realized that it was on the table as well.
Yes.
Can't
Well, it's over on this side
can't
of the table.
perhaps take a look as to what it could be?
Should we show him?
I think so.
Should we show him?
Yes, let's show them.
Maybe you should show it.
Well,
Because I
have you
don't
seen it?
want to be in arm's reach when he sees it.
No, it was fine.
You sure?
You want to show it?
Okay. You promise you're not going to get upset and flail.
No
I'll
promises.
I'll do it.
All right.
But I will be Canadian and I'll be sorry.
Okay. Hang on. Let me get Tim Hortons out of there.
Insolent youngsters need some dye.
He got his official Moth Monarch drawing.
Oh, you. It does make things slightly better until someone calls me a kitty again. I swear.
Does anybody know where that came from? At a convention he went to in North Carolina, the Boozy Barrister went there too, with his young badge-ots.
His entire clan.
Yes. And he had his phone out, and a picture of the Regal Tianlong came up here. And one of the badge-ots, the smallest one, looked up and said, "Kitty!" And Boozy said, oh no, sweetheart, that's not a kitty, that's a Regal. Yeah, actually, we'll go with the kitty, that's what that is.
We don't talk about that story. I thought we already agreed with it.
No, you agreed, I did not.
Okay, well, in that case, I don't think that you're going to particularly agree with this either.
Uh-oh. What's going on here?
I don't know. This was designed for humans. Human help me. Well, I don't know. I mean, something was sprung upon me, and it's only fair play if I do the same to you.
You two-timer.
Well, I don't know. I feel more like an old-timer, but I'll take 2 as well.
Hey, are you like a double agent here, playing both sides of the street?
Shall I tell the story once you've seen it?
I'm afraid
How about
that...
you tell the story first?
Let me move to this side of the stage before he does see it.
Well, I'll tell you what. You take the mic and tell the story, and I'll look at what it is.
All right. So, I've been waiting to reveal this for weeks. You want to show? Can I see it?
Yeah, that's me.
So, several weeks before Effie was going to pop off, I was talking to Ronnie, and I said, "Hey, Ronnie, let's prank Kage." And Ronnie's like, "Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. We don't want to do too mean. A lot of pranks are mean." And I said, "How about a surprise?" So he's like, "What do you want to do? What kind of surprise?" I said, "You know, he has what he told me recently was his favorite doodle I've ever done at any of his shows. It was the roach holding a wine glass saying, 'I have overtones of blackberry, gym sock, and hardwood floor.'" And I went, "Oh, that would be great. We can do that as a beautiful piece." He's got 2 pieces over the wine rack as it is. They have golden accents on the corner, hand-lettered text, beautiful ink and watercolor piece of the character in the center, and he knows of them, of course, and he said, "Oh, that would be a wonderful idea." So I did the sketch, and we had to truncate the text a little bit to fit in the format. And he was like, "Oh, that's great, let's do it, let's do the gym socks version." And I went, "All right," and I finished it, and I framed it nicely, I had it ready to go, and snuck it off to him once we got here to Toronto. And as far as Ronnie knew, that was the entire story.
Wait, as far as I knew.
As far as Ronnie knew, that was the entire story.
Really now.
But simultaneously, I was emailing Kage and I said, "Hey, Kage, let's prank Ronnie."
You know what she is? She is the secret agent man that we've all been hearing about.
Yes.
Secret agent moth.
And I said to Kage, "Hey, you know those pieces you have over the wine rack?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Don't you think Chen would want one of his own?" "Doesn't work, sorry. Not that kind of moth." And he's like, "Oh, that would be wonderful. Let's do that." So I had to think of a phrase. We didn't have one for Tien, and I remember he likes to say "die" a lot. So we have insolent youngsters need some dye.
Yes,
And he's
I agree.
sitting down, drinking out of the sake gourd, looking lovely. Same thing, gold accents, hand lettering, because I'm crazy and I hand letter things.
It's a dope.
Watercolor, very nice. Beautifully framed. I got very lucky with the frames. The store had 3, but one was damaged. I was like, perfect!
I
Yes.
don't want to, completely
There were only 2 that were good.
I don't want to completely shine the spotlight on Moth Monarch, but I'm going to anyways. Everyone, Moth Monarch, if you could give her a round of applause, please. She is an absolutely darling fellow, and I could not be happier with any of the artists to give me a rendition of Die.
So, boys, are you surprised?
Yes, sort of. At least it wasn't a kitty cat.
A closer look costs $10, by the way.
Feed the pig! Now,
Why is the pig inverted? It's doing like a tail stand. What is it, breakdancing all of a sudden?
It's ready to collect pennies from heaven.
Yes.
I was about to say, the pig right now looks like it's saying, "Jesus, take the wheel."
a little bit.
I wonder, maybe the pig has like moth personalities and is looking up into the... Well, yes, it's looking up at the light bulb. It's like, "Ooh, the pretty light. I must go and smash my face against it."
Do you want me to make him do the thing again with the ching? I'm not going to say it.
The ching?
Chong?
Wait, no.
And the cockroach scurries off!
Yes, like a cockroach in light. It scurries right away.
We can do stereotypes if you want.
Sarah,
I don't
I
recommend
don't
it.
think it's that time of evening, though.
Come here.
Oh,
Come here.
what?
Come here.
What do you want now?
Look.
Look at what?
Look.
You know, if you think hard about it enough, it looks like the Queen and Charles, actually.
So they have the Windsor smile.
They actually do. It's kind of prim. It's kind of that judgmental smile that, the teacher in school gives to the dumbest student in class when the dumbest student is trying so hard to learn what she has to teach.
Most of you are probably aware that Kage is short for Kagemushi, which means shadow bug in Japanese. I think I'm the shadow bug.
Not with that gorgeous finery you're wearing there.
Yeah, look at that. Isn't that such a
Come on,
lovely
baby,
gift?
show him your eye spots.
All right.
I guess that means Chan could be
$10.
a dragon.
The pig is not finished, by the way. I saw some people sneak in the back
The
again. This is a
pig
charity show.
requires food. It requires love. It requires your generosity. The pig is there for feeding, and feeding pigs is very, very generous indeed.
Yes. I was going to say something, but I was like totally floored by this.
Did
I'm
you
like,
say
duh.
Did you say it in Canadian?
I may have. I'm sorry.
Well, that's good enough. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
Even if you're not sorry, you must say it anyways, because you have to preemptively be sorry to counteract the other person's sorry. That's how it turns into back and forth. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry that you're sorry. No, I'm sorry that you're sorry that you're sorry. Oh, no, I'm sorry that you're sorry that I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry you have to put up the stereotypes.
thank you. Yes, that's what I was
I'm
saying.
sorry that I have to perpetuate them.
But okay, first off, one cannot speak ill of Canada. I am still absolutely in awe of a country that could elect the artist of the Doonesbury comic to be the leader of your nation.
Also, probably the only politician that can take off his shirt and actually gain votes.
I got nothing, I'm sorry.
Hey, I mean, you would have voted for that too.
I'd like to see people with those Pokeballs throwing them at my president.
That would be great. Could we actually get like a movement to like have people throw Pokeballs at the president every time they see him? Like, go, I choose you.
No, he would find some way to...
He would put up a wall to block the Pokeball.
Yes.
And he'll make the traders
When are
pay.
you guys going to build the wall that you need to keep us out?
Did you not realize that we already tried building a wall online? Our government website for immigration crashed 3 times when the elections were happening.
Funny that.
What, were all of them from North Carolina?
Pretty much. Actually, my understanding is that our state of Vermont almost was part of Canada. Because back in the colonial era, when Vermont was like, could we be part of the United States? The United States was like, no, we don't want your area, a bunch of farmers and stuff. So Vermont said, oh, gee, I guess we'll be Canadian. And the state said, no, wait, no. They wanted Vermont as a buffer between them and Canada. Because they were, okay, this was entirely, you always deal with the unlikely. In the unlikely event that Canadian troops were ever to come down and set fire to our capital, they wanted to make sure there was a buffer between us and them.
Well, I mean, you don't know what the Canadians did to the White House already.
They redecorated it.
Yes, with flames.
They decided to give it that antique burnt wood look.
Yes, with hints of burnt hardwood floor and dried up freedom.
and the tears of
all the babies, Americans going wah wah wah.
yes.
If you don't get that reference, it's from the arrogant words.
To be fair,
And the White House burn.
Yes.
to be fair,
To be fair.
the Americans did respond by literally blowing up all of Toronto.
We did, but the thing is, Toronto back then was 8 miles that way. It was a wigwam and a single log cabin. And we thought, yeah, we're big guys, look at it, here it is. Yeah. Back then, there was another city, it was called Hamilton. They changed its name to Toronto and then built another Hamilton in its place. You guys fooled us, that's actual history, you can look it up.
And then after all that, we went to the doctor and got our feelings checked for free.
We had to wait 6 months for it, but we did it.
How are we doing in the pig here?
I don't know.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm seeing green ones, I'm seeing blue ones, and I'm seeing purple ones. What other colors do you have?
We have red, we have brown.
I don't see any red ones in there.
There are no red ones in there, probably because they all sit in the dealership right now.
So you guys, oh, thank you. You guys really use the coins like actual coins? Oh, there's a red one. Thank you so much. Woo, I love you. Thank you. was that? Oh, William Howard Taft. Okay, hi.
Wait, who did you say was on that?
William Howard Taft, isn't that who that is?
Oh, yes.
I think so. It's American education system, folks, sorry.
American education system. Yes. Oh, and we have
Well,
more
we
people
do.
walking in as well. We have more. Welcome to the charity show. This is in benefit of the charity Happily Ever Esther again. Please, if you would be so kind to donate to the animals. We have our glass piggy up here, and we would very much appreciate if you fed the piggy.
Okay, I'm liking the color scheme. I could use a little more red, but I'm liking the color scheme.
Yeah.
It still fascinates me that you guys actually use your coins. See, in my country, they give you a bunch of coins and you stuff them in your pocket and then you throw them into a jar and at some point you take them to the bank and they give you a couple of bucks for them. It's very unusual to an American to come to a country where coins are actually in circulation. I go to a place like Great Britain and they give me a bunch of coins and by the end of the day my pocket is weighed down, I can barely walk, and I got like $400 in my pocket.
I was about to say, you could probably pay for a con in the US like that.
And an American will often make the joke, no applause, just throw money. We learn not to do that in other countries. Because in Australia, they're 50-cent pieces of goddamn shuriken. It's this big and it's got points on you. Here to go by.
I mean, hey, remember, it's Australia. Everything there is trying to kill you, even your latte.
Yes.
Oh, and speaking of Australia, weren't you there recently?
I was there just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, and what...
That's 3 Canadian weeks.
And what in particular did you experience in Australia for the first time?
Oh, for the first time, good health.
I mean, wait, from like the Scowling Queen there, or like the Drop Bears, or what?
Oh, no, I'm talking about the air itself, which tried to murder me.
Oh, yes, that's usually...
Every time I go to Australia, I would get the world's most ungodly con crud. It's terrible. I remember 2 years ago was the worst. I mean, I was burning up with a fever of like 40.5 degrees, and feeling totally miserable, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want my host, so I was just kind of being very quiet. They're taking me to the air. I'm thinking, okay, I'll get to sleep on the plane. I'm sure that I will feel better. It completely slipped my mind that one of the guys in charge down there is a doctor. I could have had him fix me up, but I got onto the plane. And when I woke up the next day coming to Los Angeles, I just felt like, okay, I don't think I can even walk. And I got past immigration, and it's got this big sign that says, if you are showing any symptoms of illness, you must report to a health officer. And I've got perspiration running down my face. I said, maybe they won't notice. I'm shuffling along, and this big bruiser in a black uniform got in front of me. I said, excuse me, sir, do you feel all right? And I thought, okay, it's good to be a comic sometimes. It lets you think on your feet. I said, honestly, son, no, I'm not. Let me give you some advice, an older man to a younger man. Don't try to go shot for shot with Australian Marines. You're going to lose, all right? Is there any paper in that waste can? You might want to roll that over here. It's okay, sir, just keep moving on. Big gamble, because I learned after that Australia doesn't have a Marine Corps. Oops. But this year I actually did not get sick. I still came close to death because I was doing Uncle Kage's story hour and they had a nice glass of wine for me. And I went to reach for my wine and I noticed there was a little itty bitty spider on the wine glass. I was like, oh guys, there's a cute little spider on the wine glass. Oh, wait a minute. This is Australia. Is that one of those things that can kill you just by saying its name? And I told people, guys, there's a little teeny spider on my wine glass. And everybody said, oh. And there was silence. And I'm thinking, certain death or wine?
I would be stuck too. To give it to you, I would be stuck with that decision as well.
Well, I was really agonizing over this. And then a very helpful fellow in the front row stood up and said, has it got a red ass? I said, I don't think so. He said, oh, it probably won't kill you.
It's like a 99% chance versus 100 in Australia.
Well, the spider then, okay, as the Australian would say, the spider fucked off, so I'm like, okay, great, thank you very much. I'm not going to say it.
Oh yeah, did we mention coarse language? Our apologies again.
That's how
Yes?
the little old ladies talk down there. It's amazing.
Okay, that's in Australia. Even hearing the little old ladies talk will have a chance of killing you.
Yes. But I do like Australia. I wish I could see some more of it. I am in absolute envy of Joaquin Baldwin, who was also there. He got to spend several weeks like touring across Australia.
Before we continue, who exactly is Mr. Baldwin?
He may or may not have been the art director on Zootopia.
Oh, come on, Zootopia! You're supposed to make more noise than that.
Pass that around, I'll tell you. Since this is not being broadcast anywhere, okay, I probably should not say what Joaquin said because they weren't recording it there.
Okay.
Depends on how much money the pig gets in it. Maybe I'll tell you later.
I don't know, will the pig have enough money to cover the copyright claim?
Probably not. Okay.
Especially if we put it on YouTube. Don't you remember what happened the last time we tried to say something copyrighted on YouTube?
The Boozy Barrister and I were doing a stream, and we ended it by singing a 250-year-old Irish farewell drinking song, and some asshole hit us with a copyright claim. I was like, dude, you could not possibly be that old! And of course, YouTube sided with them. So it's like, well, this person has copyright to this song. This person is full of shit. I'm telling you. Sorry, shite. What do you say up here? Crap.
It depends. You say crap. You say, baloney. We say, I'm sorry.
Full of baloney. That just doesn't happen.
Full of I'm sorry. You're full of apologies. You have to always be full of apologies up here.
But, okay, Joaquin Baldwin is a capital fellow. He's absolutely wonderful. The problem is he is one of the senior guys at Disney. If you want to have him as a guest at a convention, essentially, okay, has anybody ever seen an older animated film called Cats Don't Dance? Yeah. Remember Max? Yeah. Joaquin shows up and Max is behind him.
You will not use the word Zootopia in writing. You will not use the word Disney in writing. If you do, you will disappear.
They're laughing like I'm making that up. This guy was like 19 feet tall in every direction. It was terrible. Oh. He's running away or something. Would he have to puke? I had to take a phone call.
I haven't seen anyone feed the pig. Where is the pig?
The pig's gone!
The pig is making its whole tour around the ballroom. Okay, that's fine. So, like I was saying earlier, this is your third Furnal Equinox so far.
Third actual, but second official.
Second official Furnal Equinox so far. And, well, as someone who is quite honored to be a part of this wonderful community, I must ask you what you think so far about Furnal Equinox, just in general, perhaps.
Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah, this one.
I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the dickens out of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is like your 5th cup of Tim Hortons already. I'm surprised you're not jumping through the roof.
Give it time. Okay, this is not, okay, this is the 2nd cup since dinner. I had 5 in the morning, remember? Okay. They don't got this where I come from. You go to the gas station if you want coffee.
That's not coffee, that's like the byproduct.
I don't live there! I live in goddamn North Carolina. North Carolina, which, according to international organizations, is not classified as a democracy. But I won't get into that. I'm not bitter.
You need to buy a Timmy's franchise.
I need to buy it.
Can we have a Tim Hortons come to Advocar, perhaps? That would
I
solve
want to talk more about buying a Timmy's franchise.
There are several of them in the northern states.
Okay, is there a geographic limitation, like you have to be north of the Mason-Dixon line, something like that?
No.
As long as you
You
draw
have to
that
be close
clean
enough to
river.
Canada that you can run a coffee line up to the source. Is that how it works?
Yes, it has like an IV drip from
Yeah.
the maple trees that get like maple syrup from the source and then uses to, sugar up your coffee and all that. Yeah,
The
probably.
only better coffee I have had than this is the coffee you get in Germany. The Germans, okay, let me tell you the life cycle of coffee. Coffee is grown generally in South and Central America. They grow the beans there, and the beans are packaged raw. They ship them to Germany, and the Germans roast the beans, and then they grind them, and they make coffee out of them. Then they take the coffee grounds, and they spread them out on large yellow-colored tarps out in the sun until it's dry, and then they package it up and ship it to the United States so we can make our coffee out of it. The Germans do not fool around. Trust me, they don't do anything. I'm not going to go there.
I know exactly where they went.
Yes.
And I'm not going there either.
Okay. The Germans don't do anything halfway. But I was telling somebody earlier about an incident, or rather just the atmosphere of, I believe it is Eurofurence 10 or 11.
8 actually.
I know, which I'm talking about a later one.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's Eurofurence 11, and it was in Nuremberg, in Germany. I want you to remember that. It's in Nuremberg. They had prepared their incredible production puppet show, their pulpet show, as they say. Every year, they've made this absolutely spectacular, out-of-this-world production quality show. And they would use music that they would then record themselves and put their own lyrics to it. That was part of the fun. German copyright law changed 2 months before the convention. And it changed because of lobbying from the music producers out there, so that the exception for parody was removed. Weird Al Yankovic cannot sell his recordings in Germany, because you may not even use the music in parody. This was 2 months before the convention, so they had to completely rewrite all the music and record it themselves, make original music, and while they were at it, they said, we should also change the story a little bit, just as a kind of commentary on how we feel about this situation. I was in the audience, and the lights came up, and on their beautiful set stage, there was a Folkmanis wolf puppet wearing a very, very familiar dictator's cap, and these vertical red banners decorating the stage with white circles on them and black musical eighth notes in them. And the show began with this line of Folkmanis huskies coming out and in lockstep. And they all had armbands with this symbol on it, and the little paws that came up, Jawohl, mein Producer! And so they say, this is goddamn Nuremberg, we're all going to jail! They got away with it. Yes, that was like, oh God. I'm sitting in the audience thinking, I'm going to go to jail in a foreign country, what am I going to do? But they did it. Again, it was their commentary on how the music producers in Germany had essentially hijacked creative freedom. Let's not go there. They're still fighting that. Maybe they'll get over it eventually.
I'm finding that when you're in Germany, you sort of like what you just mentioned as well, you never seem to go just halfway. You always just go full out. And, well, I saw it firsthand when I went to Eurofurence as well. Because, well, I went to Eurofurence for the first time last year, and I got to experience a lovely, lovely concoction that they made named Kaltemusch. If anyone here speaks German or Deutsche, then you would know what Kaltemusch directly translates to. And with respect to the polite company that we have, I shall not translate it for you.
Now, don't.
No, I shall not, unless I see $1,000 going to that pig right now.
Someone make it happen. We can make it happen.
How many of those red ones you got?
We don't take plastic, don't bother.
But it is plastic, isn't it?
Okay, we don't take plastic digitized chip, whatever card scanner thingy-mabobber kids use these days.
You mean credit cards?
Yes, that. We don't take credit
It's
cards.
not your native language, I know.
Kaltamushi is essentially this weird, fantastical combination of what we would know as cola and red wine, if I'm
It
correct.
sounds repulsive, doesn't it?
It does sound repulsive, but I tried it for the first time, and, well, I didn't find it to be too bad. And then I tried it for the second time, and I found it to be quite tolerable. And I tried it for the third time, and I found that it tasted rather pleasant. After about the 10th one, well, the security still refuses to tell me what actually happened, but don't look on YouTube, that's all I'll say.
I have my own story about Kaltamushi, but
what's that?
we're running low on time and there's not enough money in the pit for it.
Oh, what time
But
is it, actually?
it's, well, actually, is there a function in this room at 8?
Oh, no, but they must do a room flip after
Okay,
this.
so we've got a little bit of time, but not enough time to tell that story, not enough money, if you know what I mean. I had told my own Kaltamushi origin story at Eurofurns when it was in Magdeburg, which was in the former eastern part of Germany. And I give absolute props to the bar manager because he was standing in the back of the room and he heard me tell this story and he heard the audience roar with laughter. 20 minutes later, the show broke up and I went into the bar. The bar manager had run out and bought up every bottle of Kaltamushi within a 5-kilometer radius and had this big special there. Only €3 Kaltamushi. He sold every one of them and made a fortune. That year, thank you very much. We like the blue ones. They're perfectly fine. What color you got? Oh, you got the silvery ones with the little woman in the middle. Okay. That year, that was the last year that Eurofurns had their post-con, question and answer session. I don't know why it was the last year. The thing is, they call it a feedback session, and people used to go in there and say stupid things. Anthrocon used to do that, and I had to sit and listen to people say, my feet hurt when I was on the stairs. You need to redesign those stairs. Yes, sir. We'll take that into consideration and have a discussion with the hotel about that.
You know, I have seen someone at Anthrocon use like an inflatable tube and do like a slide down the stairs.
That happens everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
But I can't say anything, even though I want to. At Eurofurns' feedback session that year, I was drinking some wine in the back, and my inhibitions were not as strong as they would have been, say, at Anthrocon. And I'm sitting there drooling on myself and watching the room spin. And this young fellow, he was from one of the former Eastern Bloc countries. Slavic of some, I don't know. You got all new countries from when I was in school. Europe used to have 12 countries when I was a kid, okay? I don't know what the hell you've done to it, but now there's like 80. But this guy got up there and he was absolutely furious. He was livid. He had to make his ire known. And he was saying, this hotel needs to be punished. The greed and the absolute, we should not start this. The breakfast costs €20 downstairs, €20 for breakfast. I could go across the street and get the same breakfast for €5. And I said, did you? He said, yes. I said, oh, it's a fucking problem. And he said, the point is the principle. They should not charge us much money. I said, look, Jack, it's called capitalism. It's real popular where I'm from, okay?
You do realize that you're putting on a Quebecois accent.
Oh, that's where he was from.
Yes. Apparently the Quebecois find it very, very difficult in your
It must be this working its way into my veins.
Yeah. Apparently Tim Hortons has some Quebecois influences.
Well, at the end, I realized that I had probably overstepped my bounds. And I went meekly up to the Eurofurns chairman and I said, I'm so So sorry. He said, no, you said everything I wanted to.
That's the thing, is that chairmen understand one another. That's the beauty of what they do, is that what they do is not mutually exclusive to conventions. Essentially, it's like if Kage could clone himself or any other chairman, and then you just inserted them like sleeper agents to every single convention, you wouldn't notice any difference.
No. Then again, people accuse me of cloning myself. Have you ever been to Anthrocon?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen me, like, on the second floor of the Westin Hotel, and then left the Westin and gone over to the convention center and seen me running out of the dealer's room?
Yes.
You need to be able to do that when you're a chairman.
All of your convention centers are a mile long.
That's 1.6 kilometers, by the way. Yes? Hi!
My first Anthrocon, you mystified me because my friend Susan and I were watching outside the Crawford room, and you walked in, and 10 minutes later you walked in again.
I do that.
You walked out!
Well, because,
Isn't
as
that,
I say,
isn't that like a glitch in the Matrix?
it is.
Apparently you have like duplicates of yourself around. Maybe we should look at
Actually, when my dear and sainted father was still alive, we resembled each other. I used to put a lab coat on him and just have him wander around so people would think I was in two places at once. The only problem is, I'm 50% northern. I can speak very, very rapidly when I need to. My father was from the deep south, Alabama. The illusion fell apart if you tried to engage him in conversation. You go up and you say, oh, hey Kage, how you doing? He'd say, what do you call, fine. Yes, I know, working on it. You remember my dad.
Oh, yes, I remember very well. I remember when he was around and he could actually keep a leash on your mom.
He was the only one.
Not that kind of leash, I'll just say right now.
No, it was. Okay. You know what happened my parents went to Eurofurns for 10 years together. And then when my father passed away, I was very, very worried that this was going to be my mom's first year at Eurofurns without my dad, and I knew she was going to be upset, and I knew she was going to be mournful, and I thought, is she still going to be able to have fun? She came up, she had a little wheelie scooter that she rides around in, and she came up and she said to me, would you be able to come up to my hotel room tonight around 8 o'clock? And I thought, oh, the poor old thing. Yes, I'll be up there, Mom. I'll be up there. It's okay. I thought she needed some help getting her necklace off or something like that. Well, at the exact appointed time of 8 o'clock, I went up in the elevator. Theirs don't work either. I went up in the elevator, and I stepped out, and the first thing I heard was, oots, 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 oots. And I looked down the hall, and there was her wheelie scooter and this fog coming out of a hotel room with these flashing laser lights going through it. And I went down and I looked inside, and there's like a damn rave going on in there. And I went in. Now, that's not my scene. I have very sensitive hearing. I don't like loud music. And Mom comes over and she says, so I stayed maybe 15 minutes, and I went to the elevator. Okay, I'm just going to go to bed. Let her have her fun. And when the elevator doors opened, there were two German security guys. They hire the Prussians to be their security. These big, broad-shouldered, hulking, bald guys. They looked down at me. They looked down the hall, and I just sidestepped, and they would go, ein, zwei, ein, zwei, ein, zwei, ein, zwei. Well, I went to bed, and the next morning, I saw her sitting at breakfast, and I went up and I said, so, I saw security heading to your room last night. She said, oh yes, they stayed about 2 hours.
And I think that you neglected to mention the detail about what the Germans give Mom for a wheelie scooter.
Like I said, they don't do anything halfway.
You know how over here in these parts of the world we have, little mopeds or little accessibility scooters, and they're all quaint and cute, and it's like, oh look, it's an accessibility scooter. Over in Eurofurns in Berlin, they have their wheelie scooters made by Mercedes-Benz racing team.
They got 4 wheels, and they've got a top speed of about 50 kilometers an hour.
And did I forget to mention that they also sometimes have wheelie scooter Nerf shootout tournaments? I'm pretty sure.
Didn't, but I don't doubt it.
I'm pretty sure Mom is the record holder still.
She was rocketing around the convention in this thing. And I managed to get in front of her and slow her down. And I said, "Look, what do you think you're doing?" And she said, "Oh, I can't figure out the controls." Okay, look, there's a big dial. There's a turtle and a rabbit. Put it on the turtle.
I think you forgot the fact that Mom used to be a biker.
She used to be a motorcycle enthusiast.
She rode a Harley, was it?
A Norton.
A Norton, yes. If you tell her that's a Harley, she will smack you on the nose.
Very hard. She was a motorcycle enthusiast, and she used to ride with a large group of other motorcycle enthusiasts in the 1950s.
Yes, with the latest trends in fashion at that time of, their leather jackets and studded boots and bandanas on their head. Kind of like Shiro over there.
They all thought they were James Dean, you see.
Yeah.
Speaking of James Dean, it's 2 minutes to 8.
2 minutes to 8 right now.
How's that work?
I don't know. Do we just stand still for like 2 minutes and...
We could entreat people for one final, go-round. Wait a minute. Which coin has the beaver on it?
Why are you so interested in beaver?
Why are you not?
Meow.
Raise your hand. Okay. We need one final whip round here. Thank you, everyone. Oh, here's the one with the beaver on it. This says 5 cents, you motherfucker. There. I suck at basketball. Put it in the damn thing.
Right? I mean, hey, that's how much they cost in Canada, apparently. And here's the one thing that I will say, just before we run out of time, but the one thing that I will say about why I do prefer the coins versus the bills is, well, it's very hard to tip I would say an exotic dancer with coins. Very difficult indeed, because...
She kind of gets way down after a while.
Well, that's the thing is that, if you're doing it the same way that you do it south of our border, you're literally whipping coins at her the entire time.
They don't make them with coin slots.
Yeah, they don't make them with coin
Well,
slots.
Oh, look, we're out of time.
Thank you very kindly for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this has been benefit in its entirety to the Happily Ever Esther Farm Sanctuary, our charity for this year's Furnal
Take it by
Equinox.
the door, if you would.
Oh, I will take it by the door, and on behalf of the charity, we thank you, and we are so sorry for everything you have heard.
On your way out, if you've got any money left over, this is your chance to feed the pig. Once again, on behalf of Happily Ever Esther, thank you for your kind indulgement. Oh, this is about the moose. That's not a moose, that's an elk.
Okay, well, the moose has a big rack. Are you going to turn away a big rack?
Put the money in the jar!
Money in the pig, money in the pig.
Hi, thank you again for watching my video in 3D and 360. Hope you enjoyed the coverage of Furnal Equinox 2018 at the Western Harbour Castle, downtown Toronto. It was an excellent weekend, and a lot more busier here than it was Thursday night. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you again for watching. Cheers.